Okay, guys, thanks for being here. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Thanks, everyone, for being here today, 2 o'clock. See, we have several members online, so if you want to jump in here, please say so. All right, Happy New Year to everybody. First order of business is any additions to the agenda you have in front of you today? Okay, with that, I'll move on. Need approval of the previous meeting minutes. If somebody would motion to accept. Okay, appreciate that. All right, motion passes. Thank you very much. Okay, next I'm going to turn it over to Tom, see if he has any comments.
Do you mind if I go over the approvals? Okay, so this is later on the agenda, but according to policy, we're required to come to the committees and ask for their permission for upcoming events that are allow non-member participation. In front of you, you see a joint memo. This is for the Rec Committee and the Lakes Committee. So we're just looking at the Lakes portion here. With all these events, we try and make sure that they're either kid-oriented or charity-oriented, and that they have as minimal negative impact to our membership as possible. These are the same groups that we've had for year in, year out. So the Rec Committee approved the gun range requests and the recreation requests on Monday, and we're seeking approval from the Lakes Committee for the Lakes events. And if you have any questions, if you're not familiar with any of these events, just let us know. Yeah, go for it.
Yep, we can.
My question relates to the fishing tournament.
Do you have your?
I did.
He probably put it on late. So.
My questions relate to the youth fishing tournament. Do I understand that there may be boats and boat drivers that are not registered boats and not POA guests?
Rick, I'm going to have you answer that question, please.
Or members.
So this is the one event that we asked special permission for back in, I think they had one event in November this last year, and we asked for a vote kind of away from the committee meeting, and it was granted, and the rest, for this year, it was a kind of a wait and see kind of thing. So yes, this is for youth fishing. It's for the two participants in the boat would be youth. The driver in the boat may or may not be registered, but it would just be the kids fishing. And of course, we would know about it. The rangers would be informed. But that is the one new event for this year that we're looking for approval for. We didn't see any problems with the event last November, but that might be one we want to discuss as a committee.
And for clarity on a comment you said, we received approval from the committee via email. It was not covered in a public
Yes.
setting.
Yes.
Right. So there may be boats that are not registered in Bella Vista or have a boat pass.
Yes,
There may be.
From what I understand,
a boat may be empty and not have any POA member in it.
that is true,
possible.
because we're trying to cater to the youth. In this organization, from what I understand, if we had to limit it to POA members, then there wouldn't be enough registered boats to have an event. So,
Is there any way we can ask them to register or charge a daily fee or something to make them legal on the lake? Because normally we don't let unregistered boats on the lake.
So I've been speaking to member services, and they have agreed it needs to go forward to the committee. But to open another category of, so we currently allow registration of non-member boats for a week. There's a weekly registration for $82. And we were hoping to be able to register on a daily basis for $15 a day. What we're seeing is either at $82, people approach it two different ways. They either don't bring their boat with them because they're only here for 3 days, like a long weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or they bring their boat and don't register it and hope they don't get caught. So I feel like a $15 a day fee, 3 days would be $45, much more likely that someone would pay $45 for 3 days than 82. So if we had that policy in effect, I think maybe we could get $15 for a boat for this kids event.
Do we know how many boats might be in each tournament, or is there a limit on?
Well, it would be,
participants?
it would fall under the same regulations as our other tournaments with the boats. Lake Ann is 10 boat maximum, and the other two are 16. Nothing else would change.
And so, also, if the committee elects to vote on these, they would do it one at a time. So it's possible you might like the first two and you maybe don't like the third one. And so you can vote yes for two and then no for one, so.
So, Rick, I know they haven't shown up today yet. Do you think there's a possibility they would be here next month, or do you?
There is a possibility that my earlier communications with the group was that they were very interested in coming today. I reminded them this morning that today was the meeting, and it seemed like they were kind of caught by surprise. So I don't think they were prepared to be here today.
Okay, I agree with the $15 per day. I think that to me, in my mind, would make this, would give them for lack of a better word, a legal way to have boats on our lake, be registered, get a safety brochure, get a rules book when they register, if for nothing else, be made aware of all our policies and procedures. So I would favor approving this if we could get that $15 a day.
Would the $15 a day be for anyone, or just for youth
So
fishing?
here's the challenge. Now, I'm not saying I necessarily disagree, but only the board can vote to approve the fee schedule.
Okay.
And so if we come up with a fee, the board has to vote on that fee. If we create a new one-day fee for $15, then the board has to vote on that.
Okay.
It sounds as though what you've said, Rick, is that if we did do the one-day fee, we might actually increase revenue, because it sounds as though the $82 fee
It's prohibitive.
is prohibitive for a lot of folks.
It is.
I think
And regardless of this tournament deal or not, it is something that we've talked about in the past as being, would be a positive.
So I think her question was, if it's approved, it would not only apply to the tournament, but if I come in to stay at an Airbnb for the night, I can buy it.
For one day. That's our take on it, yes.
Tom, if we suggested to the board to implement that fee, is that something that would have to be a 2-meeting thing where could it be done in the next 30, 45 days?
Yeah, it
Okay.
could. It could, assuming that they are in agreement with
Right,
it.
right.
Yes, they could. We could bring it to their attention for this month. If the board, if this committee makes that recommendation, we can bring it to the attention of the board. But they do have to vote on such things.
Right, but it's not a present it 1 month and vote.
No,
It's
that
not-
only policy changes require two
Okay.
readings. This would only require one.
Okay.
I just wanted to clarify, it would apply to anyone that has a guest permit, just to be clear. You'd have to have a guest permit to have that, but that also would apply to a lot of members too, as Rick was kind of suggesting, like members have guests that are willing to bring their boat, but the member doesn't necessarily have a boat, and that gives a member maybe an opportunity to get out on the lake as well, so there's that.
Could there be a one-time, or however many whatever the cadence is of the tournament, could there be a tournament fee that goes to the POA rather than fitting the bill of a 1-day fishing pass or a 3-day pass? I mean, it is just a specific tournament. I'm not sure the back end side of things, but
From what I understand, they want to have multiple, and it may not matter in what the question you're actually asking, but they want to have multiple tournaments over the course of this next year. So it would be a $15 each time, and, you know, you can call it boat registration or you can call it tournament fee. I don't know that it matters.
It is a little, frankly, it is a little bit of a gray area, because in some of these approvals, like the gun range, some of these are paid events and some of these are charitable, no pay events. But I think that since we're talking about the possibility of implementing a new fee, what I would recommend is we potentially table this one, have the committee, this committee vote on the concept of a $15 fee. Let's see what the board says about it, and then readdress this at next month's. We could definitely vote on the first two. That might be a suggested path so that we're all on the same page and don't step on the board's toes or anything like that.
And that would also give the organizers a chance to be here, speak their mind.
Okay, does anybody else, before we do that, does anybody else have any comments or questions?
Yeah, what if one of the kids falls out of the boat into the lake? Do we have any liabilities there?
The organization has liability insurance. What do we require? 1 million, 3 million per incident? That's what they have. I checked with them on that.
Okay, any other questions, comments about specifically related to the youth fishing tournament? Because I think what we'll do is table this to, we'll suggest, so I need a motion from someone to suggest that we do a $15 per day fee, and then we can vote on the other two after we get that one done. Is that okay to everybody?
Yeah, I'd be happy to make the motion that we implement a new boat registration fee 1 day for $15
For guests,
per guest,
Okay,
with guest cards,
with an official guest pass, yes.
because that's what's required for the weekly, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Second.
okay, we got a second? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. All right, I think that's a good way to handle it, so we'll see what the board does. Hopefully they'll approve that, and then we can hopefully give them permission at some point to have their tournaments and make them still legal.
And then I'll make a motion that we approve the kids fishing derby and the kayak demo days.
If you could do those one at a time.
Okay. Kids fishing derby.
Okay, do I get a second on the kids fishing derby? Okay, all in favor? Aye. All right, any opposed? Okay, that one passes.
Motion to do the kayak demo days on June 2nd.
Okay, do I get a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that one passes. Okay, so we'll hopefully get this youth fishing tournament either vote on next time or the time, maybe even next time or the time after, and hopefully they can be here next month to present what their intentions are and that sort of thing. We can fine tune it. So, anything else from Tom? Any other comments or anything?
I have a question. Can you tell me, I've heard a rumor or something about rezoning at the Avalon Beach area?
So,
I got asked about it.
no, that's all right, that's right. So, way back in '07, when the city was founded, from what I've been told, at the last minute, they were block zoning areas. And so the POA has 20 parcels that their zoning does not match their historical usage. For example, Lake Avalon, Highlands, the Country Club here, Scottsdale. So let's pick on Scottsdale. You've had a golf course there for decades with a restaurant and beer and so forth, and it's zoned as P1, which is preserve. It should be C1, which is a neighborhood commercial. And so we have 20 parcels that are zoned incorrectly. It is a lengthy process to change that zoning. So on Monday, I went in front of the Planning Commission to request the first 4 changes, and first 4 parcels to be rezoned. Now it now has to be approved by the City Council. So I think the biggest message that I want to get out to everybody is we're not looking to make any changes. We're just trying to get the zoning in line with the historical usage. And to make sure, you know, we opened up a restaurant up at Highlands. We have we have this nice pizza place with a bar and everything. That's P1. Someone could say, hey, this should be C1. Why are you operating a restaurant in a P1? So we're just trying to get it cleaned up. I had a lengthy conversation with Mayor Christie, or former Mayor Christie, and he actually complimented us to taking the initiative to fixing a problem that's been around for 15 years. So.
And as a member of the Lake Avalon Community Association, this was a topic of great back and forthness when we first discovered the zoning change. But after further information and due consideration, we determined that it was exactly as Mr. Tom says, and had no problem with it.
Yeah, we're not looking to, you know, I've addressed, you know, people have come to me and said, oh, we're going to open up a hotel, we're going to do a shopping center. No, none of that. We're just trying to get legal. And technically we are okay because we get grandfathered in a little bit, but we just need to get it corrected because it's the right way of doing things.
And none of that has to go through the ACC, just the city?
No, it's just the city, but there is a lengthy process, so I'm anticipating that it's going to take us about 6 months, 6 to 9 months to get all 20 fixed, because it is a lengthy process.
Okay, any other questions or comments for Tom about anything before we move on? Okay, thanks, Tom. Board member comments. Any board member comment? Okay, with that, I'll turn it over to Rick or John, or both, whoever wants to talk first.
Okay, just giving some updates on what's going on. We've done some additional work at Lake Avalon to help with the drawdown. We completed that yesterday, and extended pipe into the lake a little bit further so that we can pull down to the full 48 inches that we're looking to do. We're at about 41 inches now. We promised 48. I hope that Carol, is your dock out of the water enough to do your work? Okay. And so we're still looking at refilling the lake beginning March 6th. We're going to be removing some leaf pack material down by the dam and at the beach. We had talked about going down 6 feet to address anything that might be a surprise at the beach. It doesn't appear like we're going to have any surprises, so we don't need to go down that far, which is a good thing. We do still need to remove the gravel bar by the boat ramp, and we'll be looking to do that in the next little bit. And really,
I was by there the other day and surprised how big that is.
yeah, and it's amazing how we've had a couple of heavy rains since the lake has been down, and those heavy rains have pushed that gravel bar out and flattened it out. So it looks like we've been in there working, but we haven't been. Anyway, not really anything to do with the Lakes Committee, but having the lake down will also allow us to do some work at Tanya Creek. There's some bank stabilization there, and once we get the lake down as far as we need to, we will cut the water off, which will allow us to do our work on Tanya Creek. Well, it's not Tanya Creek, it's that little tributary that comes from Lake Avalon, but it will allow us to do that with minimal water, and so that won't be too much of a problem there. Moving on to the Lake Rangers, we have had a slow month. If you remember, there before Christmas we were really cold, so our contacts were way down only 532. For the month, 20 people removed, 14 contacts by boat, and only 10 and a half hours on the water. That's about half of what we had in 2021 all across the board. Grounds maintenance, we have completed another kayak rack at Tyree, and people on a waiting list have been contacted, and that is fastly filling up, or is full, I'm not quite sure, but people were waiting there for a spot. We have another kayak rack going in at Lake Ann, which will make the third one there. There are people on the waiting list there as well, and so we expect that to fill up right away. We are awaiting additional flotation and sea anchors for that fly tire dock at Lake Windsor. We're also going to remove some of the railing, because the whole idea was to have kids be able to fish, and it's kind of hard for a little guy to throw over the railing, and it's not required to have railing there, so that'll be removed. We did get our commitment check from the fly tires, so we appreciate that. Got that closed out by the end of the year 2022. Now let's see here. Again, not on a lake, but part of the amenities at Lake Rayburn. There was a picnic area that's kind of down in the pine trees at the far end of the lake, and it makes a really good place in the summer when it's really hot, because it casts, those pine trees cast some really good shade there. Well, Wash-In had brought in a bunch of soil, and so you're sitting at the picnic table and your knees are up around your ears because it was filled in so much. And the guys cleaned all that out, put in a nice gravel base with a nice pressure treated border and a retaining wall, and that area is back looking really nice. And if we haven't done so far, just want to go, because it's been a while since we met, the approved capital requests that we had. We're doing the Norwood Dam paving this year. We're getting one more aquaculture pond. We're replacing a Ranger truck with 240,000 miles on it. And from what I understand, that's actually coming in Friday, so believe it or not, kind of ahead of schedule. And we're replacing a fertilizer building, which houses our fertilizer for the lakes. In our fisheries in Lake Ecology area, we have stocked trout in Lake Brittany 3 times so far this season. The last time was just before the new year, and that's kind of a stopgap against being delayed in our permitting again this year. So we stocked on the 29th of December, 2 days before our permit ran out. Let's see, our third catch basin for the aquaculture ponds is looking like, at this point, it'll be next week when that thing gets poured. The levees around the existing 2 were completed today. The guys are putting the underlayment down now, and the liner will be placed soon afterwards. And we are dropping Christmas trees off at the Grant and Access on Loch Lomond this year, and we'll be taking trees through the end of January.
Will you be able to use the first pond for fish this spring?
This year. Should be able to use all 3 of them.
Cool.
So, yeah.
When could we get a look at that?
When can you get a look at that?
Yes, ponds.
Well,
'Cause I'd be just curious to see. I've seen pictures and that put in the magazine and things like that, but
yeah.
If you go out there and walk the trail at the dam park, it goes right
walk-
around
you-
past
walk
it.
by there?
You
Okay.
can see, I took pictures today. That's probably the best picture.
cool.
When is, when you put the plug back in Avalon to fill?
March 6th.
March 6th.
So Another question I had, Rick, was we talked in I think it was the last meeting about removing buoys from the No Wake Lakes and just putting signage.
Yeah, that has not been done yet.
That has not been
but
done
we
yet.
will do it before the warm season.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment about those Christmas trees.
Mhm.
Just to let our new members here, in on that, it's habitat for the lakes, okay? So what happened was that, Walmart's, let's see, their layout warehouse called Club President and said, hey, we've got 75 trees here, that you guys might like to have to use for habitat. So the president called a bunch of guys that got them together, and they drive out there and pick them all up, deliver them to Granton on Loman, and then another group of guys come out and drill holes in them, and I guess the next step is
To actually put them in the lake. And if a person was on the ball, they could have gotten a free Christmas tree, $65 Christmas tree, because they were delivered about 4 days before Christmas. So I considered it myself, but I didn't.
So are we only putting Christmas trees on Loch Lomond this year?
Yes, to someone who lives on another lake or fishes another lake, you might say, well, Loch Lomond gets everything. Well, it's the lion's share of the water. So we try to divvy up our projects based on total acres of water. And so that's why Lomond tends to get more than the other lakes.
So would there be a rotating schedule, like next year, you might split them up between Windsor and Ann and some of the other lakes?
Maybe,
Okay.
yes.
Because it seems like in past years, we've done other lakes, not just the one.
Yeah, and we don't just put Christmas trees out. We do pallet structures. We'll make like a triangle out of pallets and put those in, and they go in other lakes as well. So.
I'm curious, where do you sink those?
Well, we
Depth-wise?
generally 12 to 15 feet or deeper. We don't want to get in the way of people recreating or swimming or boat props or anything like that. So, yeah.
I just an observation as a fisherman, it seems like a lot of our trees and things like that, it seems like all of the lakes have a need for that at this point. It seems like a lot of the stuff that used to be there is either, rotted out or what have you.
Yeah, the Christmas trees don't last that long. The pallets last longer. We continue to put those out.
Okay.
so in general, you're in favor of the Christmas trees each year?
Yes.
Whenever you can get them?
Mm-hmm.
I'd say tell Walmart next year, we can take everything you can give us on anybody else. I think it's a great idea. So, any questions or comments for Rick on anything that we talked about?
Did we put that in any of the newsletters on the email about Christmas trees? Did we? I didn't see that.
It went in the supporting update.
Okay.
At least it was supposed to.
I did see it also.
Yeah, I just didn't remember seeing it.
Again, anything else for Rick before we move on? I really don't have a lot to move on to, but any comments? Bill, do you have anything to say?
Oh, but he brought up a good question, because reading on the television side about the Christmas trees, a lot of people just asking, what do we do with them? I thought, well, if the powers that be would get the word out before Christmas, that take them to several of the designated lakes, not just one main one, but if you live in the area, take it to a certain landing. I think you'll get more trees that way.
That would be a great idea for next year, if we could put that out in, say, October, November, and then we get more trees, and I think the more habitat we can put in the lakes, the better off we'll be. So that's a really good suggestion. I would strongly encourage us to do that next year. Really good idea. And thanks for all you guys do to get us those trees. I think that makes a big difference in the, no, that's a big deal.
Rick, where do you get your pallets?
A lot of them come from just our own usage at the construction and maintenance area. I have gotten pallets from people who are putting in sod in their lawns, just most anything. We do want to make sure that they are not used for pesticides. But construction type pallets are good. Food, pallets that have been used for food and that kind of thing are good.
I'm just
also.
curious, if those last longer
They-
and there's a need to construct them, then,
Yeah.
recycled pallets or broken pallets from a supplier.
We've picked them up at T.H. Rogers before. If you go back to Lake Ann, there's a sign on the right that says free pallets. So
Okay.
we've picked those up too.
Gotcha, thanks.
So bottom line, you don't really need any more pallets? Or would you like more
Well,
pallets?
I mean, it makes extra work for the guys, and they're already pretty busy, but, we collect them along, and then when we have a big bunch, we put them out.
Okay.
We can handle a few more.
Okay, because I was gonna say, we could make a note about that too. If you have extra pallets, we could say, hey, here's where you might drop those off. Because every once in a while, not very often, but you get sod or something delivered, there's a pallet or what have you. Okay, if nobody's in the audience.
Maybe with an emphasis not to do it yourself.
What, exactly.
I can see that happening. No, here's my tree, dump it in the water.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
we generally say it's okay to, beef up the habitat around your own dock, the footprint of your own dock, but beyond that, we wanna have a role in where it's placed, because we don't wanna create a dangerous situation.
Are there any rules about artificial Christmas trees?
We don't want them,
You don't?
no.
And that's because they don't decay and they'd be there forever.
Well, and, a lot of them today have, lights that are part of the tree, and,
Not a good idea. All right, I don't have anything else on the agenda. I'll go another round around the table. Anybody have any comments, questions on anything? I'll make sure to put the vote on the final item on the events, non-member events on the agenda for next month. Hopefully the group will be here to talk to us. Hopefully the board approves our suggested fee schedule and we can go from there.
February 8th, next meeting.
February 8th, okay? And I will send out the agenda, but Kelly will be running the meeting because Errol and I will both be out of town. We hope to call in for the meeting, but I think somebody physically here would be better off to conduct the meeting. So Kelly, like I said, I'll put the agenda out and copy everybody. If you have any changes, I'll remind you, but Kelly's going to be the one to run the meeting and he'll physically be here February 8th. So with that said, meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.